Okay, I got a request to answer a typical subnetting question, the type of question that you might see on the Cisco CCNA. So I'm going to answer this question right now and talk about how you come up with the correct answer. Okay, the question is, you have a company and it needs a minimum of 300 subnetworks or 300 subnets. So we need 300 subnets and a maximum of 50 hosts per subnet. So we're only going to have 50 computers on each subnet, right? And using only one Class B address, which of the following subnet masks will support this requirement? Okay, and it's a little bit of a tricky question, but I'm going to show you basically how you can approach this question and get correct answer. All right. So first of all, we're going to start with what it says here. One Class B address, right? So I've got here, let's say 160, which is in the Class B range, right? Class B range is 128 to 191, basically. And so this is 160, so it's in the middle of the Class B range, and it's 160, let's say .32. So that's our starting address. Let's say we own that. Then we've got this subnet mask, 255.255.0.0. This is a net mask, actually. It's not really a subnet mask, it's a net mask. And it's a Class B, typically, net mask, right? 255.255.0.0. So this is our starting point. So if we look from that starting point, and then we break it down into the binary, right? So I'll just do this. Now we can see the binary. This top line is the binary for 160.32, right? .0.0, right? And then the bottom, the subnet mask in binary, right? So right off the bat, okay, we're not going to deal with this or with this. This is our starting point, okay? So all we need to think about are the third and fourth octets and the third and fourth octets. That's what we're going to deal with here, right? And if we think about it in those terms, right, zeros this is the part that we're basically subnetting, is these last two octets. The zeros represent the hosts, right? And the ones will represent the networks, right? And we need 300 subnetworks, right? So if we get a calculator and we say, all right, I need 300 subnets, right? I could say, all right, well, let's say here, to the 8th power equals 256, right? So that would be changing 2 to the 8th power. So that would be 8 bits, right? So that would be a subnet mask like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So borrowing 8 bits for networks, right? Right here. But that only gives us 256, right? So we actually need more than that. What we need is 2 to the 9th power, which would equal 512 subnets. So we borrow one more bit right here, right? Okay, so just these subnet bits that we've added on and borrowed from our original represent a possibility of 512 subnets. Now, what about the zeros? This represents the hosts. So we've got 7 bits of hosts here. So we say 2 to the 7th power equals 128 hosts. So that's plenty, right? So that would give us the necessary amount of hosts. If we need a maximum of, let's say, 50 hosts, right? So, of course, this would be 128, and then if we were to borrow this, would be, if we had this, then that would be 64, right? This is the 128 bit, this would be the 64 bit, right? So this would be 128 hosts per subnet, and this would be 64 hosts per subnet, and this would be 32 hosts per subnet. Why? How many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. which is, clear this, 2 to the 5th power, which would be 32, and that would be not enough hosts, right? So let's see this. This right here would be 255, 255, 255 dot 128-bit plus the 64-bit would be 192. So that would be, and that would be a good subnet mask for achieving our goals. Also, another good subnet mask would be 255.255.255.128. And so those are the two correct subnet masks that we could use to do this. And let's look at the answers here, right? Well, there's E. It said choose 2. There's E, right? And there's B. And so now you have it. So I used the principle of the borrowed bits. When we borrow bits from our original, that the 1s represent the networks and the 0s represent the possible hosts. And that would help me to answer this question. Everything else, we could talk about why these are the wrong answers. You know, and we could do that too, but it's hard to look at these and just assume right off the bat without considering that we're starting from here. This is what we're borrowing, this area. So this is really what's important.